He thought she was the one, until he tested her loyalty and uncovered a truth that shattered everything. She said she loved him. He believed her until doubt crept in. So he set a trap, a test, and she failed. Or so he thought. But the truth? It wasn't betrayal that ended them. It was misunderstanding, silence, and pride. Now, years later, with a new love by his side and a letter he'll never send, he finally learns that some hearts don't break from lies. They break from what's left unsaid. He tested her, but it was his own heart that failed the test. 1. The calm before the storm. Ethan Reed always believed that love, when true, didn't require tests. He had never been the type to spy or overthink. But 2 years into his relationship with Lily Winters, something had changed. Not in her exactly, but in the space between them. Once filled with excitement and warmth, now silence echoed louder than words. They met at university in the most cliché way possible. Ethan had dropped his books outside the campus cafe, and Lily helped him pick them up. Her laugh was soft, like music from an old piano, and her smile, genuine. They started as friends, late-night library sessions turning into long walks under city lights. It wasn't long before he asked her out. Lily was thoughtful, always remembering the little things. How he liked his coffee, the books he'd lent her, the name of his late dog from childhood. She made him feel seen. And Ethan? He was loyal to a fault. He gave her his time, his heart, his honesty. But now, 2 years in, that honesty was starting to rot under the weight of unspoken questions. She canceled on him a lot lately, claimed she was tired, studying, helping a friend. Her phone vibrated during dinner, and she'd turn it over. When he asked who it was, she'd shrug. Just some group chat, she'd say. Sometimes she laughed at messages she wouldn't show him. Ethan tried to brush it off, to tell himself he was overthinking. But doubt is a quiet monster. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It nudges. And one day, it screams when it's too late. Josh was Ethan's best friend since childhood. The kind of guy who was blunt, not out of rudeness, but because life had taught him that silence never saved anyone. When Ethan finally confessed what had been weighing on him, Josh leaned back on the couch, arms folded. "You're not crazy, man. If your gut says something's wrong, it probably is." Ethan ran his hand through his hair. I don't want to accuse her of something she's not doing. What if it's just stress or something?" Josh raised an eyebrow. "Then a little test won't hurt, right? If she's loyal, you'll get peace of mind. If she's not, better you know now than later." Ethan hesitated. Testing Lily felt wrong, but he also felt like he was drowning in uncertainty. Josh suggested they create a fake social media profile, just a casual, friendly message to see how she responded. "You don't have to take it far," Josh said. "Just see what she says." They spent that night crafting the perfect persona. The name, Liam Ford. Profile picture, some handsome but not model guy they found on a stock website. Background, traveler, book lover, works in digital marketing, harmless, approachable, not too flashy. Ethan crafted a simple message. "Hey, saw you in a recommended group. You seem really cool. Your post made me smile. Hope that's not weird." He stared at the screen for several minutes before hitting send. Josh clapped him on the back. Now we wait. 3 days passed. Ethan tried to act normal, even though every ping on his phone made his stomach twist. Then it happened. A reply. Lily had responded. "Hi. Haha, not weird at all. Thanks. How did you find me?" Ethan stared at the words. Nothing flirty. Just friendly. That was okay, right? Josh read over his shoulder and said nothing. Ethan's heart felt like it was wrapped in wires. He replied as Liam. "Just browsing some travel content, and your profile popped up. You have a really cool vibe." She responded 5 minutes later. "Ah, thank you." That's sweet. Still. Friendly. But now the seed was planted. Over the next week, Ethan, disguised as Liam, continued chatting with Lily. Slowly, the messages grew longer. She shared her favorite songs, talked about how she missed traveling, and how she wished people understood her better. Ethan knew those lines. He'd heard them before, but once they were meant for him. Then came the message that broke something inside him. To be honest, things have been a little rough lately. I just feel like I'm stuck, you know? Liam replied with empathy. Sometimes we outgrow things, or people. Do you ever feel like you're not being loved the way you want? Lily's reply came quickly. Every day, Ethan felt like he'd been punched. That night, Ethan drank for the first time in months. He wasn't much of a drinker, but the burn in his chest needed company. Josh sat beside him, handing him water. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't think she'd go this far. Maybe she's just venting? Ethan laughed bitterly. She's not venting. She's emotionally cheating. She talks to Liam more than me now. She opens up to him, shares songs, sends selfies. Josh didn't argue. He just sat there. Are you going to confront her? Ethan stared into the glass. Not yet. I want to see how far she'll go. I need to know if I was ever really loved, or if I was just convenient. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Liam joked about how they should grab coffee sometime, just two strangers bonding over books and broken hearts. Lily replied, "Haha, you know what? That actually sounds really nice." Ethan dropped his phone. The message glared up at him like betrayal in digital ink. Josh picked it up and read it. She agreed. They planned a public meetup spot, a cozy cafe downtown. Lily chose it. She said it was quiet and cute. Ethan would be there too, only she wouldn't know. Ethan prepared everything. He'd sit at the back of the cafe, hoodie on, sunglasses hiding his eyes. Josh would be nearby in case things got out of hand. They picked a day. Thursday, 5 p.m. Ethan texted Lily from his real number the night before. Want to hang out tomorrow? She replied. Can't. Helping my cousin move. Maybe this weekend? The lie cut deeper than a knife. Ethan didn't reply. He just waited. The cafe was warm and cozy, soft jazz playing, the scent of cinnamon and roasted beans in the air. It was the kind of place people fell in love. And tonight, Ethan was here to watch something break. He sat at the farthest table in the back, dressed in a black hoodie and large sunglasses. No one could recognize him. He'd arrived early, heart pounding like war drums in his chest. Josh had taken a table near the window, far enough to stay unnoticed, but close enough to witness everything. He gave Ethan a small nod. Everything was in place. At 5:07 p.m., Lily walked in. She wore a soft cream sweater, light blue jeans, and her hair tied loosely with a scrunchie. She looked like the girl Ethan fell in love with 2 years ago. But now, seeing her walk in with a shy smile, not for him, but for a lie, crushed something sacred inside him. She looked around, searching for Liam. Of course, she wouldn't find him. Liam was just pixels. A digital ghost Ethan had created to lure the truth out of the shadows. Ethan watched as Lily sat at a table near the corner, checking her phone every few seconds. Her expression flickered between excitement and nervousness. She didn't look guilty. Not even a bit. That made it worse. She texted someone. Probably Liam. Ethan checked the burner phone used for the fake account. Sure enough. Lily, I'm here. Are you close? Ethan stared at the screen. His hands shook. He typed back. Liam, stuck in traffic. 10 minutes max. Lily smiled at the message. She actually smiled. And Ethan, heart-shredded, looked down at the girl he thought would be his forever. All those nights they had spent wrapped in each other's arms, whispering promises in the dark. Did those mean nothing? Josh noticed Ethan trembling and texted. Josh, you sure you want to keep watching? Ethan didn't reply. He had to see it through. He drifted into memory. The first time Lily kissed him, it was raining. They had been walking home, arguing playfully about whether pineapple belonged on pizza. She'd grabbed his collar, pulled him down, and kissed him mid-sentence. It was messy, funny, unforgettable. She had told him he was her home, her safe place. Now she was here, waiting for a ghost, for attention she claimed she was missing. Ethan's eyes welled up. He wiped his face and stood up. Josh signaled, mouthing, "Are you sure?" Ethan nodded. He walked toward her slowly, each step heavy with pain. Lily didn't notice him until he was 2 tables away. She blinked, startled, then smiled awkwardly. Ethan? What are you doing here? Her voice was strained, uncertain. He didn't sit. He just looked at her, then quietly pulled out the burner phone and placed it on the table. Her eyes locked on it. And then, slowly, her face changed. Denial, confusion, realization, horror. "No," she whispered. "No, please tell me that's not." Ethan's voice was flat, hollow. "Liam says hi." Lily's face turned pale. She grabbed the edge of the table, her lips parting but no words coming out. Ethan sat down, not because he wanted to, but because his legs were shaking. "I wanted to believe I was wrong. I prayed I was just being paranoid." She tried to speak. "Ethan, I don't," he said sharply. "Don't insult both of us with lies." Her eyes filled with tears. "It didn't mean anything. I swear. I wasn't going to do anything. I felt invisible." "So you decided to cheat emotionally?" His voice cracked. "You said you were helping your cousin move. But you were here, waiting for someone you thought was a stranger." She put her hands over her face. "I messed up. I know I did. But I didn't plan it, Ethan. I was just lonely." "Then why didn't you talk to me?" he asked. "Why did you turn to a fake man instead of the real one who would have done anything for you?" She sobbed silently. But for Ethan, the tears didn't soften the blow. They only made it worse. Because now he knew. She regretted getting caught, not what she did. The cafe felt colder now. People nearby pretended not to stare, but silence lingered in the air like fog. Lily finally whispered, "I didn't sleep with anyone. I didn't even meet anyone. I liked feeling wanted again." Ethan swallowed hard. "Do you know what it feels like to realize your girlfriend is more honest with a stranger than she is with you?" Lily opened her mouth, then closed it again. "I watched you laugh at his messages. Share your dreams. You sent him photos you haven't even sent me in months. You were planning a new story, while we were still in the middle of ours." She whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to fix us." Ethan stood up, eyes bloodshot. "You fix relationships with truth, not with temptation." He walked out without looking back. Josh caught up with him outside. "You okay?" Ethan didn't answer at first. He just stood there, staring at nothing. Then he said, "She killed something in me today. Not with her words, but with her choices." Josh nodded slowly. "I'm sorry, man. So am I," Ethan whispered. "Because I really thought she was forever." They walked in silence for a while. Sometimes, silence is the only medicine when words fail to heal. Over the next few days, Lily tried to call. She messaged long paragraphs, apologies, explanations, desperation wrapped in digital ink. Ethan didn't reply. One message stood out. "If you just talked to me instead of testing me, maybe we could have fixed this." And maybe she was right. Maybe testing love says something about both people. But Ethan had tried talking many times. And silence was her only answer, until someone else's voice interested her more. In the end, he realized the saddest truth wasn't that she failed the test. It was that the test had to happen at all. If love needs to be proven, maybe it's already gone. 3 weeks. That's how long it had been since Ethan walked out of that cafe and out of Lily's life. The messages had slowed to a drip and finally stopped. No more "I'm sorry." No more "please just talk to me." Silence had settled where love used to live. Ethan didn't block her. He wanted to, but he didn't. He kept scrolling past her name every time he unlocked his phone. Like a wound he couldn't stop touching. Sometimes, the worst pain isn't being left. It's not knowing whether someone ever truly loved you in the first place. Ethan spent his days moving through routines on autopilot. Wake up, shower, work, sleep. His job at the design firm, once a creative escape, now felt like walking through fog. His manager, Claire, noticed the shift. "Hey," she said gently one afternoon. "You okay?" He faked a smile. "Just tired." She nodded but didn't push. Sometimes people need time to unpack their grief. And sometimes, they just need someone to know they're not invisible. At night, Ethan journaled. At first, just a vent. But soon, the pages began to carry more than pain. They held memories, questions, dreams, and slowly, healing. It was a Sunday afternoon when his phone buzzed with a name he hadn't seen in weeks. Lily. Not a call. A single message. Lily, if you ever want answers instead of guesses, I owe you the truth. Not excuses. Truth. He stared at it. She could be lying, manipulating, trying to make herself the victim, but part of him still needed to know. So he typed, Ethan, one conversation. In person. One chance. She agreed. They met in a public park on a quiet bench near a pond. It was a place they'd once called their secret spot, the kind of place that once held laughter and kisses, now haunted by distance. Lily looked tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep cures, but the kind that heartbreak leaves behind. She didn't waste time. You deserve to know why I broke. Ethan crossed his arms. I'm listening. She looked at the ground. 3 months ago, I found out my mom had cancer. It's stage 3. I didn't know how to tell anyone. Not even you. I started pushing everyone away. I thought if I started detaching now, it would hurt less later. Ethan blinked. Why didn't you tell me? Because you've always seen me as strong. I didn't want to be the sad girlfriend. I didn't want to burden you. And maybe a part of me wanted to break before life broke me. She paused, then added, that doesn't excuse what I did. I was wrong. I know that. I just want you to understand it wasn't about Liam or some guy. It was about me running away from reality. Tears slid down her cheek. You were always the best part of my world, Ethan. I just didn't know how to hold on without falling apart. Ethan sat silently, emotions colliding like waves inside him. Anger, sympathy, confusion, longing. You could have told me, he whispered. I would have stayed. I would have carried that with you. She nodded. I know. And maybe that's why I didn't. Because I knew you would. And I didn't think I deserved that kind of love. There it was, the saddest truth of all. She didn't betray him because she stopped loving him. She betrayed him because she stopped loving herself. They talked for an hour. No begging. No promises. Just truth. And when they finally stood up, Lily asked, Is this goodbye? Ethan took a long breath. It has to be. Not because I hate you, but because we can't go back. Not after everything. She nodded. I understand. I'll always be grateful for you. He gave her a soft smile. Take care of your mom. And take care of yourself. They walked away from each other, slowly, not with bitterness, but with bittersweet clarity. A month later, Ethan received a letter. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Lily. Inside, just a few lines. If life had gone differently, I would have married you. If pain hadn't made me run, I would have stayed. You weren't my mistake. You were my greatest what if. And enclosed in the envelope, a photograph of them at the beach from 2 summers ago. Smiling. Carefree. Young. Before the weight of the world crept in. Ethan didn't cry reading it. He didn't fall apart. Instead, he placed the letter in a drawer and whispered, Thank you and goodbye. Healing didn't mean forgetting. It meant forgiving. And learning to carry the memory without letting it carry you. 6 months had passed. Ethan had grown into a different version of himself. Not completely healed, not entirely whole, but better. He joined a gym, started photography again, and even signed up for a hiking group. His life was no longer defined by Lily's shadow, though it still flickered on quiet nights. Then, on a random Tuesday evening, fate threw him a curveball. It happened at the hospital. Ethan was there visiting his colleague Claire, who'd recently had surgery. As he waited near the elevators with flowers in hand, he heard a voice, gentle, trembling, familiar. Excuse me. Sorry, could you press 5 for me? He turned. It was a woman holding a tray of soup and fruit. Her hand was bandaged, eyes tired but kind. She looked barely older than him, but her spirit seemed heavier. Sure, he said, then paused. Wait, do I know you? She blinked. You're Ethan, right? Lily's Ethan? Time froze. I'm Emma, her older sister. The elevator ride was awkward. Emma, with her soft features and quiet tone, didn't look like someone who'd bring trouble. But her presence rattled Ethan. He hadn't spoken to anyone from Lily's life since that last day in the park. I didn't mean to ambush you, Emma said, holding the tray awkwardly. I just recognized you from photos. You used to mean a lot to her. Used to, Ethan corrected. She looked away. Right. Of course. They reached the 5th floor. She didn't move. Neither did he. Is she okay? He finally asked. Emma looked up. No. That's kind of why I'm here, she explained quickly. Lily's mother's cancer had worsened. Stage 4 now. Terminal. And Lily had been taking care of her alone, refusing help, spiraling quietly. She'd dropped friends, quit her job, was barely sleeping. Emma's voice cracked. She's breaking, Ethan. And she doesn't tell anyone. But she still talks about you. Like you're a lighthouse she can't reach anymore. Ethan felt his chest tighten. Why are you telling me this? Because she won't ask for help. And because she might not say it, but I think she still loves you. It's not that simple. Emma gave him a sad smile. Love never is. Ethan sat in the hospital cafe for almost an hour. Coffee untouched. Hands clenched. Mind at war. Why should he go back? Why should he offer comfort to someone who shattered his trust? But some part of him still cared. Not romantically, maybe. Not blindly. But deeply. And care, unlike love, didn't die when broken. It changed forms. Finally, he stood and walked to the nurse's station. Lily Carter's room, please? The door was open a crack. He peeked inside. Lily sat beside a hospital bed, brushing her mother's hair. Her figure looked smaller now, frailer. She was humming a soft, shaky tune. She hadn't seen him yet. He knocked gently. She turned and froze. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came. Ethan stepped inside. Emma told me. I just wanted to see if you were okay. Lily blinked quickly, then looked down. You shouldn't be here. Maybe not, he said. But I am. They talked briefly. Mostly about her mother, the treatments, the nights without sleep, the small victories and daily heartbreaks. Lily didn't cry. She just looked tired. She keeps forgetting things, Lily said. Sometimes she doesn't even know I'm her daughter. But she still smiles when I read her poetry. Ethan nodded quietly. You're doing more than most people ever could. She met his eyes, finally. You're not here to come back, are you? No. Then why? He hesitated. Because I don't hate you. And because even if we're over, I still want you to be okay. That broke her. Tears streamed down her face. No sobbing, no drama. Just silent, raw pain. I miss you every day. I know, he said softly. I miss who we were too. They didn't hug, didn't hold hands. Ethan simply placed a small silver pendant on the bedside table, the one Lily gave him on their 1-year anniversary. She'd engraved it, my constant. You gave this to me when we thought nothing could break us, he said. Maybe you need it now more than I do. She didn't argue. She just nodded. And when he left, they both knew. This was goodbye. But this time, it wasn't bitter. It was full of grace. Weeks passed. Ethan never returned to that hospital. He didn't get updates. He didn't need closure anymore. He made peace with what happened. He learned that love, like seasons, changes. And that some people are meant to teach you, not stay with you. He began dating again, slowly. Not seriously yet, but openly, carefully. One night, while walking alone in the park, he looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you, Lily, for the love and the lessons." And he meant it. It started with a small decision, joining a local photography club. Ethan hadn't picked up his camera in years, not since the early days with Lily when he used to snap portraits of her laughing in the sun. But something about being around creative people again sparked something inside him. He wasn't trying to move on. He was trying to move forward. And that's when he met Maya. She wasn't like Lily. She didn't arrive with mystery or scars he had to chase. She was clear, direct, and wore her heart in her laughter. Ethan noticed her not because she was the loudest or the most beautiful in the room, but because when she spoke, people listened, especially him. At first, it was casual. They'd exchange small talk during meetups, give feedback on each other's photos, laugh over how awful their first camera phones were. But slowly, the distance between them began to shorten. One night, after a late shoot in the city, they walked home together. Maya turned to him. You ever been in love? Ethan paused, then nodded. Yeah. Thought it would last forever. And it didn't. She didn't ask for more. just nodded and whispered, "It's brave to love again after that." He looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in a long while, didn't feel haunted. They didn't jump into anything. Instead, they built something slow, a friendship where vulnerability wasn't feared and silence wasn't awkward. Maya had her own past, a fiance who ghosted her 6 weeks before their wedding, a father who never returned after stepping out for cigarettes, a lifetime of pretending everything was fine. They didn't try to fix each other. They just made space to be real. And slowly, day by day, Ethan's heart stopped bracing for pain and started opening to possibility. It happened after a small gallery show where Maya's Candid Street photo won first prize. They sat on a rooftop afterward, drinking warm chai out of paper cups, watching the city lights flicker. Ethan turned to her. "I haven't kissed anyone since Lily." She smiled. "I haven't kissed anyone I actually liked in years." And just like that, they kissed. No dramatic music. No slow-motion fireworks. Just two people, slightly bruised, finally brave enough to try again. 2 months into their quiet relationship, Ethan received a message. It was from a number he didn't recognize, but the words were unmistakably hers. "Lily, my mom passed away today. I don't know who else to tell." He stared at the message for a long time. Maya was beside him, reading a book. She noticed his stillness. "Everything okay?" He debated for a second, then handed her the phone. She read it, then looked at him. "You still care?" He nodded. "But I'm not going back." She nodded too. "Then be kind, but protect your peace." So he wrote, "Ethan, I'm sorry for your loss. I know how much she meant to you. I hope you find peace. Take care, Lily. No more. No less." And it was enough. 6 months into dating Maya, Ethan brought her to his old beach spot, the one he hadn't visited since Lily sent that photo. They sat on a blanket, watching waves crash as sunlight kissed the water. "I used to come here with someone I thought I'd be with forever," he admitted. Maya held his hand. "Do you miss her?" He thought about it. "I miss the memories, but not the life I thought I needed. What I have now feels calmer." She smiled softly. "Good, because I'm not perfect. But I'm honest. And I'll stay if you'll let me." He looked at her, no fear, no doubt, and replied, "Stay." A year later, Ethan received a wedding invitation in the mail. From Lily. She was marrying a nurse she met during her mother's chemo. The note inside read, "Thank you for being my first real love. I'm glad we both found what we needed in the end." He smiled. Maya, now living with him, read it over his shoulder. "You okay?" He kissed her temple. "More than okay." Then he tossed the invitation into the drawer, beside the old pendant. Not because he was hiding it, but because some things, once closed, don't need to be reopened. Ethan never needed fireworks again. Maya loved him in a way that was steady, safe, strong. She didn't test his loyalty. She trusted it. And in return, Ethan gave her something he hadn't known how to give before, his whole heart. No games, no fear, just presence and peace. Because sometimes love isn't about fighting fate. It's about choosing the person who chooses you every day. It was a rainy Sunday. Maya was out visiting her sister, and the apartment was still, the kind of quiet that invited memories. Ethan was cleaning out his old drawer, the one filled with forgotten keepsakes, old USBs, photos, and things he once couldn't throw away. That's when he found it. The pendant. My constant. He turned it over in his hand. It had dulled over time, but the engraving was still visible, like the imprint of a memory you've stopped feeling but still remember. He sat at his desk, placed the pendant beside a fresh page, and began writing. "Dear Lily, I don't know if you'll ever read this. Maybe you shouldn't. This letter isn't for answers or apologies. It's not a plea or a judgment. It's just the ending I never gave myself. When I met you, I didn't think I could be broken. I thought I was solid, unshakable, a man in control of his heart. But then you smiled, that quiet smile like you were hiding the world behind your lips, and I lost all balance. You didn't just become my world. You replaced it. You once told me I made you feel safe, that I was your calm place. But when I looked at you, I didn't feel calm. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, scared, exhilarated, and ready to fall. And I did. Hard. I replay that day in my head sometimes. The setup, the trap, the test. It was cruel. Not because I caught you lying, but because I wanted to catch you. I wanted to be right. What does it say about love when we test the people we care about? I thought if you failed, it would prove you didn't love me. But even when you passed half of it, I still wasn't satisfied. Because the truth is, I didn't want evidence. I wanted to hurt you the way I was already hurting. That's the part I haven't admitted out loud until now. You could have been honest. You could have told me about the calls, the job, your mother's illness, the pressure you were under. I would have stayed. I would have fought for you. But you didn't. And so I tested you. And when you failed, I used it as a reason to burn everything down, even though I knew some of the fault was mine. I expected perfection from a woman barely holding herself together. I was in love with a fantasy, and the moment it cracked, I ran. Do you remember that night in the park, our final talk? I remember every second. I was hoping you'd cry, hoping you'd say something that would make me stay. But you didn't. You just looked at me like you had nothing left to give. That's when I realized love doesn't always die in fire. Sometimes it dies in silence. And sometimes we kill it ourselves and blame the other person for the ashes. I don't hate you, Lily. Not anymore. In fact, I think I finally understand you. You loved me the best you knew how. It wasn't enough, but that doesn't mean it wasn't real. You taught me things no one else could. That love without communication is slow poison. That trust without vulnerability is a cage. And that testing someone's loyalty is often a projection of our own fear. You weren't my forever, but you were my transformation. And for that, I'm grateful. I wish I could tell you this in person, but maybe some things are better written than spoken. I found someone. Her name is Maya. She doesn't complete me. I do that now. But she holds me like I'm enough and loves me like I don't need to prove it. We don't test each other. We trust. We talk. We grow. And when I look at her, I don't feel like I'm falling. I feel like I've landed. Soft, safe, still. I'll always hope you found happiness. I hope your husband makes you feel seen, loved, and protected in the ways I couldn't. I hope you laugh again, that deep, belly laugh you used to hide behind your hand. I hope you forgive yourself, because I finally did. Goodbye, Lily. Not out of anger, but out of peace. You were my beginning, and this is my ending. Ethan didn't mail it. He didn't message Lily or revisit the past again. He folded the letter, slid it into a notebook, and tucked it away in a box labeled Old Lives. Then he lit a candle, poured himself tea, and waited for Maya to come home. She entered with a smile, rain in her hair, arms full of stories. And when she kissed him, forehead first, then lips, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Whole. From the one who got away to the one who stayed. Some loves are storms, passionate, wild, unforgettable. Some are shelters, quiet, consistent, healing. Ethan had both. And in the end, it wasn't the intensity that lasted. It was the love that didn't need to be tested at all.